what's up you guys? Century Productions, and welcome to the Watchtower series where I take you guys through my toy photography and show you my setups and how I take my pictures and how I set everything up and all that cool stuff. Batman. We got Batman right here. This is the Batmobile, the animated series. Probably one of the most beloved Batmobiles, I think. I still think that the 1989 Batman is still everybody's favorite. I got that one right here. But I have yet to shoot that one and this one. So these are basically, I think, 1/64th scale die-cast Batmobiles, and I have a bunch of them. I pretty much have all like the major ones, like the Batman, Dark Knight, 89 Batman, of course, animated series. And I've been wanting to shoot something with one of these die-cast vehicles. My initial idea was actually with the Bat from The Dark Knight Rises. You know, his little helicopter Batwing type thing that he uses in that movie. I was initially just going to use one of these squares and just place it on top of this little I think this is just like reflective blue like cling wrap. I was just going to put one of these little squares and then have the Bat on there, but the idea kind of evolved from there, and then I was looking at these little plates, which are from the Nova Ubiquitous Dio, which is like a cool little space kind of like laboratory type of modular diorama that came out a long time ago. But you can find all kinds of other uses for the pieces from that diorama, especially with these little miniatures. So basically what I did is I made a little road out of these plates, added a couple cutouts, added this cool little 11x17 background of just like a cave. I think this is actually pulled from Justice League Unlimited, that background. And then I've got this little cutout right here, which is just basically like a little rock. Just kind of, adding layers into it. I've been trying to work on my layers lately. Been trying to, get something in the foreground, obviously the focal point, and then some stuff in the background. And especially when you're using these cutouts, when you have them blurred like this, they end up looking just super good. Obviously, we're going for the animated feel right here, so it's pretty cool. I'm also working with some new lights. I've got a softbox right here, so let me switch up the angle and let's take a deeper look at this setup. Alright, so pretty much this is the whole setup. We initially saw this first little setup with all the cutouts and everything, but I kind of wanted to give you guys an idea of this new softbox I'm using. I mean, look at this thing, dude. I've never used a light this big. I picked up this little softbox kit. It actually comes with two of these on the advice of my buddy Patrick and Mark from ACBA, because they take a lot of shots with these soft boxes, and I always loved how their shots came out. Their shots always look so realistic and cinematic, and my shots tend to look a little bit more comic-y and sometimes animated, so I'm trying to switch it up, trying to evolve a little bit, and who knows, maybe I can get more of that animated feel out of these lights. Everybody's style is different, so those lights are pretty interesting. I only have one of them open, or one of them up right now, because first off, they're fucking huge. I mean, they're 16 by 16, and I was like looking online for like the smallest ones I could find, and those were literally the smallest ones I could find. The other ones are like 30 by 30, and I'm like, dude, I don't have enough space for like these two gigantic soft boxes, so I went with the 16 by 16 ones, and I'm just kind of slowly testing it out. I mean, I could probably achieve what I have right here with a different light, but easing my way into full on having it for a major part of a setup in the future. I'm just kind of playing around with it right now. But as you can see, the other lights, we've got, of course, our panel minis right here. We got a Ulanzi that's illuminating the Batmobile. We got another light right here that's illuminating that little cutout for the background right there. And then we have that light bar behind that cutout, which is right here, that's illuminating the background. And as big as the setup looks, it's actually only going to take up a very small space. So it's actually quite a big setup for the framing on this one. But I think it's going to really come out and give that animated feel. That's the whole point. When you take these cutouts from an animated show and somehow work them in to a shot, you can't really get a better animated feel than actually taking screenshots of an animated show and working those cutouts in. So that's why I've kind of basically made all these cutouts, and I have so many different types of rock cutouts, and and all kinds of different cutouts. So when, you know, inspiration strikes and, you know, I'm sort of rolling with an idea, I can kind of make it happen. So like I said, this shot initially started off with me wanting to use the bat from The Dark Knight Rises, and here we are. I'm taking a Batman animated series shot. So I think that's pretty cool, and I think the shot is really dope. So let's check it out. And I'm also going to be taking another shot with the '89 Batmobile, just for like a B-side, just like alternate shot, just for fun. Just because it's so easy to just swap them out. I mean, that's the cool thing about these diecast cars, is I don't really have to do much. I just kind of plop them there and create the scene. The scene's the harder part. So yeah, let's check this out. Alright, I'm back on the table, and I'm doing a panel shot, so I'm going to be taking you guys through each of the panels. And this was just kind of like a funny idea I had, spur of the moment, last night. Decided to shoot it today. You guys will see the progression of this here in a second, but this is a very easy setup. There's not really too much going on with this. Got this little baseboard right here that I got from Mayron Studios way back in the day. It's like a little dirt base, works out really nice. Got the little cutout back here. I believe this is actually from a Dragon Ball Z movie. I took a screenshot of it and then printed it out on 11x17, then actually cut it out. The cool thing I really like about this cutout is it has these other mountains that seem like they're even further off in the distance, but everything's pretty much on the same plane right here. So, you know, in the viewfinder, it gives this really cool effect, like they're like way further off in the distance when they're actually not. And then I just have a couple lights around. I got a light right here, a light over there. We got the softbox up top, and then a couple other lights lighting the backdrop. Like I said, very minimal little setup. We're obviously working with the VHS Cyclops with the cell shading. I love this Cyclops. If you guys watched my top 10 video, this guy came at number, I think, 2. I just absolutely love this figure, and this is the first time I'm actually shooting it. And I'm shooting this very basic setup, but you guys will see what I'm doing here in just a second. I'm actually going to show you guys the progression of the next panel. I'm actually going to pose in real time with you guys for the next panel. It's a very difficult next panel. This next pose is going to be very difficult. Like I said, we're going to do it in real time. And boom, there we go. That's what the next panel is going to be. It's going to be a completely different panel. You know, we're trying to tell a story here. So we got the first panel with him looking at the camera, and we got the next panel, him looking up, and then he's going to be eaten by a dinosaur. So here I got the super colossal Tyrannosaurus Rex from Jurassic Park. This came out a couple years ago. It's just like super big. It's kind of in scale with the 6-inch figures. You'll see a lot of people use this. Simon Hill, all kinds of people in ACBA use this Tyrannosaurus Rex. It's just awesome for photos because it scales so well with the 6-inch figures. So you can kind of get the idea of where my panels are progressing now. Scott's looking at the camera, Scott's looking up, and then this dude is going to be not closing his jaws on him just yet. He's just kind of hovering right over him. And basically what I'm going to do in camera is I'm going to do this. I'm going to set my camera on a timer, and I'm going to do this. And basically as it's taking the picture, I'm going to move this down, and it's going to create a motion that actually looks like the dinosaur is moving downward. It's a cool little trick just to kind of capture motion. And I've done it a couple times, so I've actually already taken the picture, and it looks pretty cool. It did take probably about 30 or 40 shots of me just basically trying to time it just right, because I wanted his head to still be kind of visible right in the middle of his mouth right there, and at the same time I had to keep the same pose from when he's looking up, and I have to make sure that he's not falling down or anything like that. So overall, so far, I'm liking this. I think it's really cool. I'm gonna have to workshop some ideas for this last panel here, because when I actually close the hand, oh, actually that looks really actually that doesn't look half bad right there. I'm debating on whether or not I want to add blood effects, but I'm not 100% sure I want to do that just yet. But I mean, it makes sense, but this does kind of look good. I was kind of struggling with him fully, trying to get his teeth as close together as possible, because there was just a little bit too much space when I was closing the mouth on him. But this right here actually looks really good. So I'm going to workshop some stuff, and I'll see you in the next panel. Alright guys, this is the final panel, and I know I just said, I was like, am I going to use blood effects or what kind of effects? Because I wanted to do something. Just having him closing his mouth on the figure, I just felt like that wasn't enough. I felt like it just needed a little something extra. So classic century fashion, I went ahead and I did the cutout, man. Had to put a cutout on there. The cutout's obviously from Cyclops, who's now inside the Tyrannosaurus Rex's mouth. And I also exchanged his fisted hand with an open palm. It just felt like it made more sense. He just got swallowed up by a T-Rex. And this one was a lot easier than the last one that I had to shoot. Instead of having to move it up and down like that, bobbing for dinosaurs, I was just had to hold it right here. But through all the shots that I've had to take, as you can see how shaky the T-Rex is like my left arm is definitely getting a workout, and it's starting to get a little tired. So yeah, this was the shot. Very cool shot. I mean, this is the whole thing, guys. It doesn't take that much stuff to make a really cool shot. I'm putting this down, man. My arm hurts, dude. I took 40 shots and then I had to hold the other one. But anyways, it doesn't take that much, dude, to really get a super cool shot. You got this nice base right here, which, like I said, Mayron Studios from Instagram made. You guys should check out his stuff. He makes amazing dioramas. Not only does he make amazing dioramas, his dioramas are really built to last. He puts this special sealant over them that I haven't seen anyone else put on their dioramas. So definitely check him out. And then, I've got the cutout. So I have the figure, the base, and the cutout. And then, of course, I have the background, too. This is a cloud background from Michaels. If you guys have Michaels in your area, if you live in the UK, I don't know what you guys got over there, Ollie's or something, I don't know. I live in California, so I'm not really sure what you guys have available over there. But I'm sure you could go online and find something like this for relatively cheap. But yeah, 4 ingredients and a little bit of innovation and a cool idea, and boom, you got yourself a really cool idea. So thanks for hanging around for this little ins and outs of the panels, and let's get to this picture already. Alright, on the table with a little setup, nothing too crazy here, just really focusing on the posing on this setup. We got Beast sitting on these steps. I knew I had these steps, and the whole idea kind of revolved around me just kind of playing around with this new retro Beast. I knew I had these steps, and I kind of posed him up on the steps, had him sitting down, and I was like, wow, this is a really nice little cool pose, nothing too crazy. I like how the facial expression kind of matches the pose, like he's bored, and then I just kind of built on it from there. I have this really nice little diorama from Mayron Studios, kind of like a broken down castle diorama, and I just kind of built on it from there. Added these little steps, added this little fake grass right here, and added some lighting in the back. This is the first time I'm using my 2 big soft boxes for lighting, which is kind of changing up the tone a little bit, so kind of trying to, figure out how to work these in, play with the settings, see where everything ends up, saturation, contrast, stuff like that. But overall, I'm really liking it. It's kind of still giving off that comic book kind of vibe, but also this lighting is kind of giving off this kind of, I don't know, just this is just me personally, but kind of like cinematic-y kind of lighting, so really cool. So you can kind of see the whole setup just a little bit differently from here. Obviously, I've moved my table a little bit further away from the wall just to give it a little bit more depth, since this diorama is a little bit bigger. I have this little grass mat. I think I found it on eBay under G.I. Joe diorama mat. It's pretty cool. It's made with almost like real feeling grass. And it's not that big of a mat, but if you kind of use it to your advantage and how you're setting everything up, it can really add to your scene. And then I've got some just miscellaneous rocks and stuff over here. I think this piece is from a Force Awakens figure, and we got some of those like Tamashii Nation's rocks, or those actually may not even be the Tamashii Nation ones, those might be the cheap ones on Amazon, but just kind of, you know, building up a little bit of layers. You know, you got the rocks and then the beast, and then you got obviously Cyclops and Wolverine in the back, and Cyclops holding up his hand to Wolverine, and you know, those two are always into it. These are the two soft boxes I was talking about. These things are fucking huge. I mean, they give off so much light, and I'm working in such a condensed area that it's really hard to kind of put them in the right place to get the effect I want. But so far, I am really liking them. They are, you know, they're a lot easier to deal with than the 15 other lights that I usually have on. So it's just kind of a learning experience using these, but I do like them. They are very useful. And as we can see the diorama here. It's kind of a big diorama, but yeah. So we do, you know, we build up the whole scene. We got the grass, and then we move on to the beast, and then we got our layers in the back. We make sure to light up our background. We got the two figures in the back to kind of build out that empty space. And I think it's a pretty cool little shot. Nothing really too crazy here. It's just like I said, I was just really focusing on the posing for that beast. Alright, have a little setup here with the modular Iron Man, and then I have the Spider-Man in the Spider Armor Mark 1. I always thought that the Spider Armor figure was a really cool figure. I know he only used it once in the comics, but I was kind of just throwing around ideas. You know, it is a suit that makes Spider-Man bulletproof, and other than the Iron Spider-Man, he doesn't really have too many suits that really allow him to be bulletproof. Most of the time he's just dodging bullets and everything, you know, being Spider-Man. So I was kind of playing around with the idea of him kind of standing there being like, oh, this is nice, you know, him not having to dodge the bullets or anything. And then I looked through some of my cutouts, and I came across this cutout that says, extra credit if you can score a headshot. And then I was playing around with the Iron Man, then I kind of made the connection between the Spider-Man and the Iron Man, because the Spider-Man kind of looks like a War Machine armor. And then I was looking at the Iron Man 2 promo images where it has both of the Iron Man and War Machine back to back. And I'm just kind of giving you guys my thought process of how I got to this setup here. It's like a whole spider web of just like different ideas, and then it all culminates into one final idea here. So as you can see, I've used a lot of bullet effects here. I've used these bullet effects. Those bullet effects, they have a spider spider web effect right here. We've got the cutout, which is attached to Iron Man's arm. Got all these little tiny cutouts of bullet ricochets, and then of course I've got the little bullet ricochets down here. These down here, those little bullet ricochets that came with Captain America's shield. And yeah, overall, I'm digging this setup a little bit. I think at this point I may have added too much stuff. It's like sometimes, you know, less is more, but I was kind of going. The idea just kind of kept like going and going and going and going until I got here. So I do think it looks kind of cool. I wish I could see the Iron Man a little bit better, and you know, I don't know. I'm kind of over this setup, so I don't think I'm going to go any further. I think I got a cool shot. And yeah, I'm using a lot of these little rocks. I think I ordered these on Amazon. Just like little rocks you can order. They're cool if you have stuff in the foreground, and you know, especially if they're in like an area that it's like, I don't know, like supposed to be a construction zone or something similar to that. I did something cool with these buildings back there. Let me switch up the angle. Alright, so if you can see these little buildings back here, they're basically just like the outsides of a building printed out flat, and then I just took a piece of cardboard and folded it like a building and wrapped it around there. And you know, they actually work pretty well. I don't really use these too often because I usually have like a background or something that has the buildings on it, but I was pulling something out and I found these. I was like, you know what, these are kind of cool. I haven't played around with these in a while. I usually use them for like Titan shots, and which I don't really do too often, but you know, they're in the background, they're out of focus. I think they're really cool. You can definitely tell that it's something tangible as opposed to just a background. So it's always nice to kind of, you know, fill in a little bit of negative space with something that's actually physically there. So and the coolest part about these is they're 100% free to make. You know, you can make them. You just look up building, the sides of building flat, or, you know, model train buildings, something like that. Print them out, tape them to some cardboard or some poster board, and boom, you got yourself like a super cheap, inexpensive background that can double as a building, and if it's out of focus, it's gonna look pretty good. So that's pretty nice. If you could see this setup, as we can see how we got the bullets attached to these flight stands with some blue tack, and they're just kind of coming in. And then I had these right here too. I don't know how well you guys can see these, but just attach these to a little tripod, and then when you put them right near the lens, they kind of give you this cool effect. So it's another little effect that I used right there. And of course we're lighting up our background with that light. We got another light right there. And yeah, we're just making sure everything's nicely lit. Cool pose. It was definitely hard to pose this Spider-Man like that. I'm not gonna lie. He as cool as the figure looks, like, I don't know, it's just like his ankle pivot just doesn't really work correctly to really get him in those cool crouching poses. You know, he's a Spider-Man figure. He should be really posable, but he's actually quite limited in this figure, especially doesn't have the butterfly joints. I don't know, it's not as cool a figure as I thought it was when I pulled it out, but it does look good. So I guess at the end of the day, that's all that really matters. But yeah, it was definitely a pain in the ass to pose that figure. But anyways, thanks for watching, guys. I appreciate it. You know, make sure to check out my Instagram, follow my Instagram, see all my finished shots, all my behind the scenes, even though this is behind the scenes. And I'm on Facebook. I don't know if anyone uses Facebook anymore. You know, I realize I'm kind of old now, because Facebook, I think, is probably my favorite social media, because I think it's a lot more personable than all the other social medias. But I think I'm just becoming an old man, dude. I'm fucking 30 years old, so it's crazy. Well, I'm not even 30. I'm 31 now. So 17 when I started YouTube, and now I'm 31, dude. It's nuts. Anyways, thanks for watching, and yeah, I'll catch you guys on the next one. Some more setups. Got some stuff in the pipeline. It's gonna be sick. Thank you. Let's check out this shot.
That's crispy.